Oh. All right. Just waiting for Facebook to power up here.
Check.
Facebook just sits there. Okay, going live. Come on. Do the thing. It's still powering up. I'll be right back, Joe.
Alright. Oh, man. Boo. And everything else is going good with you?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I just moved into my new house, so
Congrats.
thanks, dude. So if you're ever in the Dallas area and need a place to crash, I got a spare bedroom.
Are you both in the Dallas area?
Yeah, kind of. I'm on the east side of Dallas, like suburb. He's on the west side of Dallas, suburb. It's about an hour drive in between us.
I know we're going to be down in Dallas pretty soon because one of the things we're doing with the game development is we're going to be hitting a lot of these gaming conventions, like these Comic Cons kind of things, and these indie game things, and because we know that we could probably be pretty damn successful in those areas, and
totally.
Especially hitting up students who want to get into it. We started building a logo. We're going to have a guy dress up as it to walk around and get people pumped up about it, but yeah, we'll definitely be in the Dallas area. In fact, the guy who is our who's our main Discord guy? What would I refer to him as? Our webmaster, I guess. He's our community manager in essence. He lives in Dallas. So.
Oh, okay.
He lives in Houston, so which is a little ways, but we'll have to go through there. But we'll have to probably go through to get there.
Maybe if you're coming from, you're in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. You'd probably go straight down versus going there and then going down. It'd add an extra 5 hours of your drive.
I don't know.
Yeah. But, Texas is big. You drive all day, and yeah, I don't envy that drive from New Mexico to Houston.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I don't want to drive. I hate it so much. That's why I work at home.
Right?
Hate it.
Oh.
Yeah, from where we're at to El Paso is 13 hours.
Yeah. And that's at a speed limit of 85 miles an hour.
Right.
We need 400 or 339 more subscribers. We'll hit that 10,000 subscriber mark.
Right.
On YouTube.
All right. The live up on Brograph.tv. That's good. That's saved.
There's already people in the chat. Sweet.
And oh man, I just took some Tylenol on my head. Jeez, crazy. Dad. Jeez, crazy. Okay. Bat signals out.
What's up, everybody? Hi, Liam. Hi, Grant. Hi, Glider LP and Jeff Half One. That is not Zubair, no.
Do you have the
Al, what's the name of your
do you have the video up somewhere so that you can see the chat? Maybe Brograph.tv.
What's up, Is there a delay on yours or?
Yeah, there's maybe about a 30-second delay on the chat, but it's not too bad.
Okay.
Al, what's the name of your company again?
Render Ready.
Render Ready? The name of your video game company?
Oh, the Defiant Lobster.
Lobster. Render Ready. Is Render Ready the name of your video
like my
company?
personal
basically?
video, and then the Defiant Lobster is what John and I use as our joint venture in video games.
Cool.
It's gonna go real fast.
Lame.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All you guys with your awesome CG stuff, man. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Dave, you ready?
Yes, I am going to the 3 pod. Here we are. Hello.
Transition. Right?
All right. Everybody start rolling on your audio thingy. And then we'll do a little sync up here.
Good.
I'm like super blown out on that video. Why you gotta?
Yeah,
why
that's how it comes in on Skype.
Really?
Yeah. I tried to bring it down actually. See if I can. There we go. How's that? Man, I had to bring that way down. That's better. That's way better.
I have no idea. I can't see. Because there's such a delay.
Okay. Benjamin,
Yeah,
my
slightly
body
better.
is ready. Check. 1, 2. You're hearing me talk. All right. Here's what we're gonna do for a little sync point. You're both rolling, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, clap, and that'll be our sync point. Okay.
All right.
All right. Get ready. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Cool.
All right. Rolling here, and again, I'll do the intro. Matt will intro you, and you'll say hi, and then I'll go into the whole description of the show.
Brograph is spiel. All right, let's do it.
Turn off the smooth jazz. Almost forgot. What up, bros? Welcome to the Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt. Joining us today is our good friend and video game creator extraordinaire, Al Heck.
How's it going, guys?
And Brograph is a supplement to our site, brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other MoGraph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, Brograph, at brograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show, topic ideas, and such. And that's about that. That's about it. So let's talk about the week real quick. Al Heck, you're here. We're going to talk about some fun stuff from Cinema 4D to render engines to video gaming stuff to anything else you want to talk about. The sky's the limit. And anything
Literally.
else that the chat asked us about. So we're excited about that. We went to Already Been Trued for lunch this week. Saw some of the
got
guys.
to hang out with all those guys. Which
That
is
was fun. We didn't take a picture though. I'm kind of
No,
sad.
we didn't. But I had the best chicken and waffles I've ever had in my life because it's the
Man.
only chicken and waffles I've
Right.
ever had in my life.
Right.
But man,
I was gonna
it
say.
was so good. It
I
was
was
so
gonna
good.
say, like, that place is probably not like known for chicken and waffles. So you probably have like a better chicken and waffles experience
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Maybe. I don't know. I like the whole thing that drew me to that chicken and waffles is because it was chicken tenders versus like chicken on the bone. It's like I don't want to get my hands all covered in syrup. Like that's
oh man,
the last
that's part
thing.
of the fun.
That's why I don't go to Denny's because no matter where you go, you're gonna get your hands covered in syrup.
Oh man, I had some Denny's last night.
Last night,
Oh
really?
yeah,
Sound good.
yeah. It was one of those
Probably
things
why
where
you're feeling like crap right now.
it's one of those things where you're starving and you get on DoorDash or Uber Eats and it's the only thing open.
Wait. So you not
Oh,
only
yeah.
ordered Denny's,
It
but
was
you
beautiful.
got it delivered to you?
At 2:00 in the morning.
Oh gosh.
Oh, it was the best thing ever. You don't even
Wow.
know.
So you
Oh,
just took
so
like
good.
the awful quality of Denny's and brought it down 2 notches by having
Oh.
it delivered.
No, it was better that way because it's all boxed up all nice and you don't have any weirdos sitting around you. It's the comfort of your own home. It's so great. Oh, it was the best. All right, so stuff that happened this week. Somei Sun video was super popular,
Yeah.
by the way.
We're at like
We
3,500
released that
views right now.
in just a few days. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have to do any spammy headlines or anything in order to
I know.
make it popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't stop watching. Every time every time I see that, I just imagine someone, I can't stop watching. Facebook.
Like physically.
Yeah, like you can't stop. I laughed so hard at the end.
Anyway.
7 reasons Somei Sun used Octane. You won't believe what happened next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we did another one of those this week. We had the live stream on Thursday with David Ariev, and he broke down his new music video, and that was like amazing for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
He's
was
like,
like-
"Oh, I'm not prepped, guys. I just kind of worked on it all day," and I'm like,
You just
"Dude,
all
you're
day.
so overly prepped. It's insane." So
Leave it to Ariev.
yeah, he
Love
did
that
like amazing. That was so good. So we're gonna post. That was the live version. You can go check out the live version if you want, but we're doing a more polished version with the high res version of the video and everything that'll be released is Brograph Breakdown number 5, hopefully this week. And by the by, Skype is supposedly updating some stuff here pretty soon. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get some of this live stuff working even better than we already have. Plus this new computer that I'm putting together.
Yep.
And
even though shout out to those guys who joined us this morning on the Monday meeting.
What did you do? I didn't check it out this morning.
They had Raid Zero on talking about the like his process and stuff like that. It was very cool. It was super cool. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, because we talked about recording these and releasing them on the reg. So
yeah, so that'll be cool. And if you can make the Monday meetings, I don't know if like they've got anything besides the Skype where people are showing up, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you show up on our not Skype,
not
Slack.
Skype.
Slack.
Is it Slack? Well, it's Google
on the Slack,
or something.
and then it's Google it's like Google Zoom or something, Zoom meetings or something.
Right.
Which, if you're using Synergy on your computers, you won't be able to click on any of your other computers, which is terrible. Yeah, like weird. I can't use any of my other computers while I'm doing it. And I always have to reset my computer every time because it crashes my system on the initial launch every time.
I gave up on that multi-mouse keyboard stuff.
I like it.
Just
so what, you got like multiple, you got tons of mice and keyboards just laying around?
Not really. I just don't have a lot of
team
computers.
View. Yeah.
Yeah, I just team view over to other stuff to do whatever. But I've just been having so many computer problems lately. I don't need to add any more into the mix. I had like this horrible week of tech not working. It is, for me, it's one of those things like every time I sit down to eat something, I just want to watch a TV show. Oh, you want to eat before your food gets cold? Too bad. The Apple TV is going to lock up and it's not going to work, or it's going to ask you to sign back into your FX Now app because it's logged out 1,000 times, or
You want to know how you can circumvent that?
How's that?
Not use an Apple TV.
It doesn't matter because I've tried
TVs
Roku. Roku does the same thing.
Roku?
Yeah, the FX app. So I've been having this problem where I can't get the FX app to work anywhere. Anywhere. I can't stream it. I can't play it on the Apple TV. I wasn't able to do it on Roku. I bought an Amazon Fire Stick and tried to do it that way, and the app won't load at all. Which, by the way, the Fire Stick is a piece of garbage.
Yeah,
it's cool because it's hackable, but you want to get the regular Fire TV, not the Fire Stick.
Yeah, but Apple TVs are the worst too. Like, so
the new ones are amazing.
Can I stream from my phone and actually use my phone at the same time? No.
Stream from your phone?
Yeah,
why
yeah,
would you
yeah.
stream from your phone. Everything's available on the Apple TV.
They don't have apps on mine.
Well, that's because you have that old Apple TV from
I
like
got the
5
Generation
years ago.
2. Generation 2. Anyway, it's stupid. Like I was
Generation 2 has apps.
Yeah, it may. I don't know. Anyway, but it may not have my app. I don't like using apps like that. I want to just stream it from my phone, find what I want on my phone, say, all right, you take it over. You find the stream. You do it.
Yeah.
And that's what the Chromecast does, and it's amazing.
Well, I've been trying all these different sticks because they're cheap. So they're like $19 to try one of these things.
Just get a Chromecast. They're the best. They're the absolute best.
What apps does it have on it?
There's no apps. It's not apps. You stream it from your phone.
Yeah, or your iPad.
Yeah, or your iPad. You basically say, okay, I'm finding the thing that I want and cast to Chromecast. And then Chromecast grabs all your stuff and then you can like continue using your phone. Unlike the Apple TV where
if I'm using FX Now app to watch The Simpsons World on my phone, I can say Chromecast that?
Yeah, as long as it's
from the app.
As long as it is connected to the Chromecast.
Yeah.
Let's check. FX Now.
Okay. Anyway, I had this long day of just nothing worked, right? You know, I had the problems watching stuff. I had problems with my computer, my iPad, my iPhone. I had orientation problems where things wouldn't turn, things couldn't share. And it was just weird. It's just, like all sorts of stuff. Network going bad, and then like I'm working on one thing over here, and then my Mac laptop, my Air just shuts off for no reason. Glitches, TeamViewer not working, Slack crashing, computers turning off randomly, things not booting.
You know how you can get past that MacBook Air turning off randomly?
Not have a MacBook Air. and then Barton sent me a picture. Barton sent me a picture. I sent you a video of this. I couldn't open the picture on my iPhone. I'm like, what is up with my technology today? Is there solar flares going on? You know. Oh, then I go to
the common occurrence being the Mac stuff.
Oh, I haven't even told you about the PC stuff yet. And I couldn't get Jurassic Park World. Jurassic Park would load on VR for my daughter. I was trying to get that to load, and it would install and then just disappear. Weird. It's just gone. The app is gone. I'm like, all right. And then TeamViewer still not working. YouTube failing to upload things. Today, my Mac drive was gone. Oh, and those stupid updates that don't work. And then on Mr. Meeseeks, I put some stuff on there. It wasn't working. And my daughter was in the middle of playing a VR video game in the middle of the day, and it stopped playing Rec Room and shut down the computer to restart in the middle of her game in the middle of the afternoon, even though the updates on it are set for 4 a.m. And then I had a problem this morning.
That's right, because you haven't done it in a long time. It's like, dude, I'm dying here.
Mr. Meeseeks is set to automatic.
Oh, okay.
But it was one of those days where it's just like stuff will not stop failing on me, and I don't understand. We almost didn't have a show today because of it, because my laptop stopped booting all of a sudden. Just
FXX,
stopped.
by the way, every episode of The Simpsons, it will Chromecast. So just get yourself a Chromecast. $30, dude, and then you'll never go back.
Well, the thing I like about Amazon is you can hack it. You can put all sorts of new media browsers and stuff.
Can you stream The Simpsons from FX Now?
No, because their app won't open.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think I need the regular Fire. I think that's the issue. But, speaking of which, in the Slack, there were some comments about this. Guy Lit said this week, I think this was in Rant, if I'm not mistaken. He said, okay, that's a first. Windows just actively upgraded itself while my workstation was running with Cinema open and all. No questions asked, reset, and boom. I just went out for a smoke and it sneaked it in. I can't believe this. Urban Polar Bear.
I've had that happen before.
Urban Polar Bear, I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't have this issue with Windows. No, because Matt doesn't, apparently. I've never had an update in the middle of anything.
I have an occasional issue with Windows, but it's about the same as that I always had with my Mac, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I have about the same amount of issues, but...
I just want to choose. It's not that I don't want to update. I want to choose when I want to update. And no matter what I do, no matter how I try and schedule it, no matter how I tell it to do it at night, no matter how I tell it not to ask me or not to download until I give permission, it still comes back to somehow tell me that I'm going to do this right now.
Yeah.
I think Guy Lit says this is the first time it happened without asking. He said, I was freaked out since I was in the middle of a project and it didn't save. And naturally, it overwrites the GTX drivers and stuff, which is BS.
Yeah.
Because it's going to end up screwing up your Octane or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because I'm a glutton for punishment, I ordered parts for a new PC. So.
Yay. Did you order them all?
Everything's ordered. It's on the way.
Sweet. When will it all be here?
It's all on the way. So I am doing the same case, Matt, that you, well, almost the same computer that you have, but
yeah.
I did do some upgrades in it though.
Okay.
Because I just like I upgraded some RAM, I changed some things, and this is all, of course, from advice from the hardware channel in our Slack channel. So
yeah,
make sure you go check that out because everybody is just so helpful. You know, you can just go to PC Part Picker, build your system, and send your friends a link and be like, well, what do you think of this system? What do you think I should change? And so I got the AMD Threadripper 1900X 3.8 gigahertz, 8 core.
Cool. So
CPU cooler. Yep. Yeah, the same motherboard you got. It's ASRock
X399 Tai Chi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had never heard
of
of
motherboard
before. Okay, so that's the one with the cool looking gears and stuff on it.
Yeah.
You know, so you know it's good.
Right.
And then I got Corsair Vengeance LPX 16 gigabyte DDR4 3200 memory times 2.
3200, nice.
Times 2, so I'm gonna have 32 gig.
Nice.
I got a Samsung EVO. Actually, I upgraded this. I got the Samsung originally, the 860 EVO 500 gig, but I went with the terabyte because it was only $100 more solid state.
Yep.
And on top of that, I got a 500 gig M2 solid state to go on the motherboard.
Wow. So
this thing's gonna be screaming.
Yeah. Why do you need? You need a terabyte SSD when you've already gonna have a 500 gigabyte
terabyte SSD is gonna be Dropbox. And okay. M2 is gonna be system.
You should have gotten a 7200 drive, like a 6 terabyte.
I can always add that. That
yeah, you should add that in.
I mean, I could do that.
It's nice having the extra drive.
And then I got a 1060. I didn't get it from SuperBiz because I got it for $50 cheaper on Amazon through some other company. It's going to be a couple days late, but I'm not going to have time to build it anyway this week.
Right.
So EVGA 1200 watt power supply and, of course, a copy of Microsoft Windows. So all in all, I built this system with a 1060 and all the good stuff and things in it for $2,300.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
No,
it's going to be screaming.
Especially with the 1060. Yeah.
So just kind of waiting with those slots right now for some video card, whatever is announced, or maybe a Volta. I don't know. But it's a good start.
We need some big projects. So people send us your projects so that we can buy Voltas.
Yeah. Also tried Beat Saber finally this week.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Oh, dude, I love it.
Yeah.
I start on no fail mode with no arrows so I can practice, you know. Right. But man, it's a workout. It's like if you've ever done any sort of exercise that's based on karate, you know, throwing punches and stuff, P90X or something. I mean, dude, shoulders sore, abs are sore, the whole thing. It's
like
good workout.
Doing the squat down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was awful. Dude, my legs were so sore the next day.
Obstacles and
Al, have you played Beat Saber?
No, I've seen footage of it. I've seen it with the two sabers, and I've seen it with the joined one saber, and my mind was blown. I was just like, "Oh my god, that's the most amazing thing ever."
See, I think they need to do something like kind of like Rock Band, you know, where they actually where you're actually learning to play drums. I think that would be cool. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it's fantastic. And I think that started, if I'm not mistaken, from like a game jam.
Oh really?
Yeah, I know it started really just as kind of like a concept, and then just kind of built from there. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's real sexy. I love it.
Yeah.
Liam just sent me a message too and said he's got a new tutorial coming out this week.
Cool.
And as well as Redshift Thursday. He's back on Redshift Thursday. It's going to be on Cryptomat. If you've heard of Cryptomat, it's I'll post a link so you can check that out. I just heard about it yesterday, so I don't know that much about it. So stay tuned for that because that's going to be really cool. And also, I just like to say that the new Premiere text tool absolutely blows. I do not understand Like I had to do some simple text stuff this week, which I don't usually have to do. I'm just trying to type some stuff. You can't click on it half the time. You just click and it doesn't do anything. And you're clicking around. You're like, how do I edit this? I don't know how to edit this. It just doesn't select. But
yeah, it's like they're trying to use the old Final Cut Pro version of text, and then but they still have the you can create a Photoshop.
they have the
file or
legacy version.
Yeah. I don't know.
But you can't click. And I looked this up. Apparently, this is some sort of glitch. You try and click to edit your text, and you can't. And then you click on something else and back, and then you go forward a frame and forward. And then back a frame, and then it starts working.
Weird.
I don't know. And lastly,
that's Premiere for you.
Yeah, I know. Lastly, in the week wrap-up stuff, I had this actually on here for a while, but changing the idea of a set schedule, because when you get super busy, I feel like it's all about just getting stuff done when you can get it done.
Yeah.
Especially if you are self-employed.
Yeah.
Because it might be one of those things where you've got a lot going on in your schedule, you've got kids and whatnot, and so you just never know when you're going to be able to do certain things. Or if you work really late, like I do a lot, work until the wee hours of the morning, I'm not going to get up for a set schedule of 8 a.m. and start working at 8. It's just, I'm going to be too tired.
Always get to my desk by 9:30, maybe 10, but how long I stay there is a totally different story.
Right.
Like sometimes I'll know I have something to do in the morning and I'll get it done in like an hour, and then I won't do anything for the rest of the day, right? Until something else comes in.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. It's the joy of working for yourself.
I think I usually sit down on average about 10 a.m. now. It was 9 and now it's 10 because I end up working so late, or I go pick up my daughter and do something and then come back to the desk later on at night. And sometimes it's going to, sometimes I'll do it. I want to change a scene and I'll go to Starbucks or something, or go to different places and work. And so it's really, it's one of those things where in your head, if you're like, well, I have to be at my desk from 9 to 5 every day. If you start thinking of it in different terms and you have your list of stuff to do and you just say, okay, these are the things I have to do today. I will not feel guilty about the fact that I'm not working at 10 a.m. because I'm going to be working from 3 p.m. until midnight.
Right.
And it's just this weird thing.
Also think about it this way. If you're working for the man, if you're working a regular job, how much of that time is spent surfing the internet or waiting for a job to come in or something, like when work is there to do work, you do work, but if it's not there, it's not like, why do I have to sit at my desk for 6 hours when I've got no work to do,
Oh, I always have work to do.
I know.
I got my OmniFocus in front of me. But anyway, let's move on to some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What's your flavor?
The first thing I wanted to talk about is that XB4 has been released, not for Cinema 4D in Octane, but just the standalone version of Octane, and they have added light exclusions.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.
That is exciting.
And so we'll wait for that to come to Cinema 4D. So, Al, let's talk about render engines.
Okay. What's your flavor?
Okay. What is your flavor? What do you like to use when you're rendering?
Is this, are we talking like post going into After Effects kind of thing?
I mean, just in Cinema 4D, for example, do you use standard render, or do you use Cinema 4D more as a modeling tool, or?
I use physical renderer, and I have about 10 computers upstairs. And
nice.
So I team render that until they're blue in the face. And I actually had to split them up into separate rooms because I was flipping the circuit breaker switch. Yeah. Circuits. But now, like my wife and I made an investment in the solar panels. So our electric bill is $8 a month. And so now when we do team render or anything like that, I have no fear about just letting them go into 10.
So did you actually like, sorry to change the subject into solar panels, but did you like pay for them outright, or are you renting?
Yes.
Oh, wow, dude, that's impressive.
So we moved to Albuquerque like 2 years ago. Las Vegas. And in Las
Mhm.
Vegas, you have a unique issue where you get a lot of sunlight and you get a lot of heat. And those things, you don't want them just absorbing all that heat because that's going to, eventually take its toll on any
Mhm.
piece of equipment. But in Albuquerque, it's about 20 degrees cooler because we're a mile high like Colorado. So
Yeah.
Right.
in EJ's world, but we're a little lower south.
Yeah.
And so we get all the sunlight, but we don't get that
Intense heat.
blazing microwave blasting on you. So
Mhm.
we, the wife and I sat down and said, man, I want to live in this house for 20 years. I want to live in this house for 30 years. I don't care if I die in this house. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's get some
I
solar
want to die in this
Yeah.
house. Will you
Yeah.
please let me die in this house.
Let's go
it's
buy our
great. It's got,
deathbeds.
like the office downstairs, the master bedrooms downstairs, and the kids' rooms are upstairs. They can totally control that world.
Mhm.
And we hunted around, and I found a guy, a small company out here in Albuquerque, and total cost, it was 20. Hold on, I want to say $23,000. So it's like a car. But there is a 30% tax, not deduction, credit.
Yeah.
So it actually costs us $16,000 in the end.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad if you think about if my
and the
power
fact
bill
that you
is
own it
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
awesome.
the power
Versus
bill
like
is-
renting it from like we had a Tesla guy come out and he's like, yeah, we can lease these to you. You'll pay about the same as your, electricity rate, maybe a little bit higher. And it's like, why do I want to pay an electricity bill though?
Exactly. And that was the overall issue that I found. And I actually talked to people who worked for the companies that two different companies that do the rental of the solar panel. Is when I asked them buying it versus renting, and I asked, the people who work for them, which do you prefer? They even admitted, we generally tend to add a little bit of percentage, like think of it like a cost of living increase to your power bill as a solar rental. So, you may pay $100 this year. Next year, you're going to pay $103 for the same. Next year, you're going to pay $107 for the same month. And it's going to kind of increase. You're still going to spend less, but it's not like your payments are ever going to change.
Yeah.
So, the wife and I were sitting down thinking, if we're going to spend, $1,500, $2,000 per year on electricity, it pays itself off in 10 years.
Yeah.
And then every year after that, it's free money. It's basically writing us a check. So let's just, and they got these fantastic warranties on them too. I mean, they're strong enough where you can stand on them. And walk on top of them. But also, if they break within 25 years, they just get replaced.
Wow.
And also, there is a
25
monitor
years.
that gets sent out to that solar power company. So whenever you have a panel that isn't producing what it's supposed to, you can look online and see how the electric grid is working on your entire solar array above, and it'll tell you what panel is having an issue. And then
Wow.
not replace it. So I mean,
That's pretty rad, dude.
we could have done other things with the money, but I feel better personally about using less gas, using relying on the sun, and it's just crazy to know that you're able to send the power back onto the grid, and you're living your life, your normal life, without anything crazy, just by sun's energy.
It's a really good feeling. Like I sail occasionally, and when I was first learning to sail, we were out on the lake and sailing, and it's like there's zero power right now. There's nothing going on, and we're actually moving and stuff. It's the same thing. It's like you're harnessing Mother Nature in order to actually do something productive or something. It's cool.
Takes me away.
It really is. It's quite fantastic. I feel like it was a good purchase. Maybe I'll be convinced otherwise in 5 years.
The resale on value on your house, is
especially since you own it. You're not renting it from another company. And also, I know that tax credit may not be here for another couple years because I know eventually they're going to try to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take advantage of that now before it's gone.
Solar powered renders, man.
That's what I'm talking about, buddy.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's the new company name. I called it.
Yeah.
Solar Powered Rendered LLC.
Patent pending.
Yeah.
Get on GoDaddy right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got a 10 computer farm,
Yes.
basically spread out throughout your house.
Exactly.
hilarious.
Keeps us warm in the winter.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
AC cranking all the time.
Exactly. And I don't care.
Yeah, I know, that's great.
That's nice.
That's great.
So let's
But,
talk about your company, by the way.
Yes.
So your new
The
video game company.
Yes.
Defiant Lobster.
Defiant
Yes.
Lobster.
And that was just officially announced like maybe a few weeks ago, a month or so, right?
Yeah. So, boy. So this is kind of a little bit of a backtrack to kind of explain it. But
Sure.
so I want to say back in 2013 or so, when Unity was still only Mac only, it wasn't even on PC yet, and Unreal didn't have any way to publish mobile games yet, and you still actually had to buy a license. It wasn't even free back then.
Jeez.
You had to you could build a video game on Unity and supposedly publish to your iOS device. Now that sounded incredibly appealing to me, and I thought I could just jump into it and get to work. I knew nothing about game design, nothing, zero.
Right.
I couldn't tell you how to do it properly, or pixel counts, or why normals needed to be the right direction, or anything like that. And I didn't understand any of this stuff. And I had a couple clients that wanted apps. And so I ended up hiring programmers to help me out. And then I found a guy online because I said, eventually at some point, the gravy train may end for me in motion graphics, because, guys like you and EJ and Nick and everyone that comes on to like CGraph or NAB, they just keep getting exponentially better and better and better and better. And I was like, man, I could try to compete, but I know there's also an industry out here for video games. There's a real industry for these mobile games. There's a real industry for these newer, lighter engines that are becoming more consumer friendly, consumer oriented. It's less of a, this is a good old boys club. You have to pay $10,000 to even start the game engine, or $100,000. And now they're saying it's free. Come on in. Let's do this. So I reached out and tried to find someone to teach me, and I met a guy named John. Now, this guy, John Weinberger, he's a good buddy of mine, and he's the one I run this company with. And John is, you hear those stories about these like super smart people who drop out of college and they start their own whatever. That's John. Here's my best story for you. He graduated high school. He was working at Adult Swim, Cartoon Network Adult Swim, as he was working as a game developer for them. So like if you ever played that like unicorn one.
Robot Unicorn.
Yeah.
Love that game.
Yeah, exactly. So, he had his hand in some of that and some of these other games that Cartoon Network was building and stuff. And he's got a great portfolio. He's worked for a bunch of companies. And he was doing this when he was either in high school or just out of high school. And they said, look, John, you need to go get a college degree. You need to get a degree in computer science. He's like, all right, fine. So he goes into the first day of programming, basic C#
and they're teaching
programming.
him about like what a
variable is.
Yeah, a variable. That's what I was
saying. What a pool is.
Like,
let's declare our variables. Let's talk about what is a start and an update feature. Let's talk about this. Anyway, so after the first class, he walks up to his teacher and hands him the book of fundamentals of C# that he wrote in high school. And he said, "Can I please get passed in this class?" And the professor read it real quick. He said, "Yeah, you're all good. Go on." So that's the kind of guy John is. He's self-taught, self-motivated, highly, highly intelligent. And he's just a cool dude to talk to. And I can't wait for you guys to meet him.
Yeah, totally.
And he was trying to do this thing where he would run tutoring for people who wanted to learn game development, because when he started, there weren't too many options out there, and he loves teaching. And so I hired him, and he was my tutor for about a year twice a week for about an hour at a time, and we built a bunch of games. We built a space.
You did this on Skype, right? You would
yeah,
Skype?
we did this on Skype and TeamViewer. We did video games. So we built Space Invaders together. We built a 2D side scroller like a Mario Brothers together. We built an over-the-shoulder zombie shooter together. And he's always kind of been someone I can reach out to on the programming side after I learned enough.
Have you done any VR games?
I've done some augmented reality apps and stuff like that.
Cool.
He has done a lot of augmented reality, which is really no different than VR. It's just the camera's different.
Right.
He used to work for a company called CN2 Technologies, which they did stuff for Android. I forget the name of that particular logo, but it's like this little green robot that flies around the screen, et cetera, et cetera. And it's some sort of like it was one of the major phone brands. I forget what it was, but I don't know if it's anymore. But so he would teach me the programming side, and when it came to the graphics, though, he didn't understand a single thing. And eventually he gave me a phone call because he partnered up with Unity, the 3D, the game engine. They actually reached out to him because they wanted to start creating educational resources for people who wanted to learn how to use Unity. And they asked him to come on, and he's like, I need graphics help. So, I helped him out a couple times. And then that was the ultimate guide to game development using Unity.
Okay.
And in that course, we built a space shooter together. Real simple, ugly graphics. We put barely any time into it. We also did one where we did what Unity calls the post-processing stack, which you could look at it kind of like After Effects Light for adjustments. So that's where you can do your vignettes. That's where you can do your color corrections. That's where you can do your blooms. That's where you can do your depth of field. That's where you can do a lot of these post-processing effects that we do in After Effects using our passes in Cinema 4D. So it came very naturally to me, and I was showing John it, and he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know what ambient occlusion was. That's amazing how it works." And I'm like, "It's no big deal, dude. Just." So we did that course together, and then they reached out to us to make another course. So we built the ultimate guide to cinematography. In Unity, and the idea behind that was we wanted to do something less. All right, you take this camera, you move it here, you take this camera, you move it here, and we said, let's make a game. Let's have fun with this. So we created a character called Darren Romeo, who was a spy that was an after thief sneaking into a vault. And your whole goal was to get your character from one end of the vault all the way to the other end of the vault and not be detected by the security guards who are walking around with their flashlights and splashing everywhere.
Okay.
And we built it out. We did cutscenes so that if you did get caught, he'd raise his hands up in the air, music would start, and the security guard would surround him, or when he gets to a certain security guard that's sleeping down or sleeping on the job, he comes in and he sneaks the card off from him. Little things like this, we're having fun with an intro cinematic and everything like that. And that was a pretty intense project for, just one level. I think altogether it took us like 2 months to build that whole thing out.
Wow.
And then we got another contract to do a 2D mobile game. So we started building a game called Dungeon Escape, which is a 2D mobile platformer, very similar to kind of a Castlevania. And it uses a tool in Unity called Tile Map, which basically you would create your tile sprites and then be able to paint in your level and at different depths as well. So it's a pretty unique type of tool for 2D animators, and a lot of the animations are based off of sprite sheets and are animated in game. And it's got the mobile controls, the mobile platform, and we built that tutorial to show how to do that. And right now we are building some other apps for another course for them. But one of the things that we kind of talked about is, let's kind of take some of these concepts that we're building and flesh it out as a full game and start putting them out as a release. So we are, I would say, 85% done with Dungeon Escape as a full released video game.
Cool.
I've seen some of the clips you've been posting on Facebook.
Yeah, man. I mean, it runs well, it plays well. I think the only issue we're running into right now is we just have to fix some of the AI for the enemy and just finish out some of the levels, and we're done. It's
Cool.
ready to go. But we're also trying to build a Game Dev HQ, a community of game developers, people who want to build video games. And it's already started.
Heck
I mean,
yeah.
we've got about 25,000 people who have enlisted into this Game Dev HQ army already. Now, not all of them are active, trust me, but I mean, a lot of them are really interested in becoming game developers. And we hold bi-monthly game jams where, people put together their latest and greatest in video game attempts. And dude, it is amazing. I can't tell you how amazing it is to see someone who has never touched C# before, who's never touched Unity, who's never touched a 3D program, and in 6 months is building full-fledged video game prototypes. And it looks great, it's fun, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's just something so just powerful.
And what's that attributed to? What is getting them to that point so fast? What are their resources?
Well, okay, so there's, of course, the Discord, which gets people connected. But I think primarily the first thing that they really get are the courses. They buy the courses off of Udemy. They're like $12 each. Right now,
I was going to say, you just added, or you've got a Ultimate Guide to 3D Character Art using Unity and C4D on sale. I was planning on buying that one.
Yes. We basically we encourage people, buy the tutorials, try it, learn it. It's way cheaper than having to go to school right now and get through all prerequisites to finally get to the point where you can program. Dive into this. Unity is free. Give it a shot. When it comes to the character art in C4D, download. I built everything off of the trial version. I don't build everything off of the full version. So if you've never downloaded Cinema 4D before, or never want to buy it, or never plan on buying it, but you want to give it a test, this is the way to do it. You're not going to get watermarks on it. It's going to look great, et cetera, et cetera. But we literally encourage them, build it, try it, give it a shot. We've given you every answer we can. If you don't find the answer to your question, reach out to Discord, and there are a lot of people who are on there all the time. And usually we don't even answer the question. Other people answer it for us because they've taken the course and they're excited about it. And this is a great way to collaborate and get people together to try to build, your vision, your goal, your ultimate thing.
Which specific Discord is this? Is this Udemy or yours? Or
this is a Discord called Game Dev HQ, and we are combining with the idea is that it's not a just Unity thing or a Udemy or a Cinema 4D. It is a game development Discord channel.
Cool.
Okay. That's the idea behind it. And then we have different sections in there involved and related to different courses. But John teaches what he's comfortable, which is Unity. I teach what I'm comfortable with, which is Cinema 4D. Eventually, we'll get other people who are very comfortable in their world and know how to teach those things and show off. This is how you build a video game in game assets in Blender, or how to build a video game in Unreal or whatnot. Eventually, that will come around. But right now, let's get this thing up and running. Let's get it going, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of the Discord. And I'd love to find the actual address on here somewhere in the Discord chat. It's somewhere here. But yes, so that is
I'll find it and put it in the show notes for sure.
Cool.
But yes, so I guess that's kind of how we got about to it. So the video game company is aimed not as a way for us to profit off of making video games. There are a lot of people who make video games out there. Our goal is to use the video game company to show people what can be built.
Yeah.
and then bring them into our community to help them finish completing their project, or at least get started with it. You know, we don't want, because, you know, when I went to school, and this is a little bit of how old I am. I went to school in '97 in college, my first year as a freshman. And when I went to UNLV, and established either the first or second biggest college in the state of Nevada, they didn't even have a graphic design program there. You know, there was nothing that even existed at that point. So to be able to get into something like this and really try to help people who are young and want to get into this field get started, especially, you know, and I don't mean to knock higher level education, but I see a lot of kids coming out of higher education with really, really heavy debt and no job opportunities, and it drives me nuts.
And no
well,
real
not the job opportunities, but the heavy debt. Yeah. I have partaken of my quite a bit of my own debt for that for schooling.
And I mean, education is important, but if you can get the answer online for 1/1000th of the price,
totally agree.
Let's get you started.
Totally agree.
And so that's kind of where John and I are kind of going with this. So, you know, we have a list of probably 20 games that we want to tackle, and we want to build the sample game out of. So, for example, we did a poll out to our Discord channel to ask them, hey, what game do you want us to build next? And we gave them 4 options. One was a Diablo style RPG over the shoulder, or top down isometric kind of thing. Second was a Fortnite battle royale type of game. Third is a Call of Duty zombie shooter type of game. And the fourth one is an Uncharted style adventure game. And it looks like Diablo is going to win, but it doesn't mean we're not going to tackle the other ones.
Right.
So we'll build the tutorials. We'll show the art pipeline. We'll show the game development pipeline. We'll show how they're compatible with each other, how to use both. And then we're also going to put out a game for that particular tutorial to show you the final product. So there's no doubt in your mind, unquestionably, that A, you can learn how to do this. B, we're going to show you how. And C, I hope you take this information and make your own video game with it.
That's awesome.
And then become really rich, and then invite us out to your island, and we'll all have some drinks.
Right.
It's funny.
So you and John are going to be at SIGGRAPH in Vancouver at the Maxon booth talking about creating game art for Unity using Cinema 4D.
Yes.
That's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. And one of the things that we're really going to tackle is some of the subjects that people honestly hate or are uncomfortable with in Cinema 4D. So what are John and I going to talk about?
Body
We're going to
paint.
talk about UV mapping first. Body paint second. Sculpting third. Like, those are the 3 things that I want to knock right out.
I love sculpting. I love sculpting in cinema. But yeah, UV mapping, throw it on Cubic and you're good to go.
Oh man, you're killing me now that you said that.
Triplanar, and then just, convert to UVW.
Yep. Oh no, don't do it. Don't do it. So our goal is to get out there and talking about creating game art for Unity using Cinema 4D. So that course really came out of my absolute stubbornness to give in to what everyone else said, which is model in Cinema 4D, then sculpt in ZBrush, then paint in Substance Designer, and then bring it back into Cinema. It was the absolute stubbornness that said I refuse to pay for all these programs when I know Cinema 4D can do it. And I know I can do it because I remember maybe back in 2011, it was the first time I spoke at NAB, and I actually sat down with one of the programmers, the developers of the game, the Cinema 4D at the time, and he asked us, what would you fix in Cinema? And he goes around, asks 2 of us, and all of us said body paint and UV. And he's just like, whatever. Whatever. And at first I'm like, that's just kind of rude. But now that I'm a little older and a little wiser, I think it's because he did that because he knows it works. You just got to figure it out, guys. It really does. It's good. And it took me a while to figure out UV mapping. And I tell you, man, UV mapping now is a breeze. It's fun. It you can unwrap pretty much anything in like 20 minutes, and it makes sense. It makes absolute sense.
You know what'll take less time? Throwing it on cubic and just
God, man. Got this like burning sensation in my left shoulder right now when you said that.
I want to get that checked out.
No, it makes sense, and it's important, especially when you talk about like VR, AR, because when you build any type of asset for Unreal, when you build anything for Unity, you really need to be conscious about your texture, which has to be a power of 2, just because it reads it the easiest for game engines, because everything renders in real time. And also, we got to talk about minimizing the amount of polygons, topology. There's so many other factors that go into actually making game art versus Cinema 4D art or something you render in Octane.
And power 2, you mean like 256 by 256 square textures, or
exactly,
and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and that's what body paint does. Is naturally it always converts every one of your textures to a power of 2. You just got to determine what size. And the other thing that's really powerful, getting into body paint, is you can paint not only any channel, but any sub-channel, any sub-material inside. So one of the things I do with it is I paint my reflection channel. And in there, I paint what is going to be more reflective and what isn't, what's more metallic, what's not. And also I paint my blurriness channel. And I can determine, all right, what's going to be sharp, what's not, et cetera, et cetera. So, if you have a character that is, let's say, has, at least in this tutorial that I built, he's wearing a leather jacket and he's got jewelry on it, and he's got, his flesh tone on it, or he's got, cloth on it as well. That all that texture has a different reflectance value. It has a different reflectivity. Right. Your jewelry is going to be pretty reflective, but it's also going to be pretty sharp too. And versus your leather, which is going to be smoother and it's going to be less reflective, but your cloth is going to have basically zero reflectivity on it as well. You can paint that individually inside as body paint, and then export that to Unity, and that translates directly over. So now, instead of having, let's say, a character with your leather material and your cloth material and your this material and your that material, you have it all baked down into one. And that makes it a lot easier for any type of video game engine to process that information very quickly.
Yeah, instead of having to grab 30 textures, it only has to grab one.
And you'll be amazed how much that performance is important. Especially if like a mobile or VR game, you really want to keep your numbers down as much as possible. So, like for me, when I bring in like a video game character, like a not even semi-hero character, kind of like a mid-level character or whatnot, as far as detail, they'll have maybe 6 materials total, and they'll have 8,000 polygons for the whole thing.
Jeez,
that's it. That's all you get. And then with that, I can take that and make, 80 copies with character controllers and AI, et cetera, and they can all run in real time and do quite a bit of damage on the video game.
Now, when do you do, like, as far as like rigging characters and stuff like that? Like, is the rigging done in Cinema 4D or is it done in Unity?
The rigging is done in Cinema 4D. And actually, I will use often Mixamo.
Okay.
I like throwing it in Mixamo, having it auto rig, and then bring it back in, and then using the character motion system to just kind of blend all my character animations together. Yeah. So if you're going to build a video game character, let's say you're going to have an idle pose, and then you're going to have an attack pose, and then you're going to have a pose where he's discovering an item chest. So he gets down on the ground, he opens something up, he does that animation, and then he lifts it up into the air and he shows the player what he's holding. So you basically have 4 animations from Mixamo right there. You'd have your idle, you'd have your attack, and then you have your he goes down and bends over, picks up animation, and then you blend that into he's raising the the item up over his head. So you'd have those 4 animations, but you convert them into 3 FBX files. You bring them into Unity, and then you use these Unity animation system, the animation controller, to blend when you want to access that particular information. And we actually
it'll blend the character like it does in cinema, right? When you're using the character stuff. That's cool.
We're actually cool. And at SeaGraph, when we do our demonstration, we're going to show something kind of similar to that, where it's kind of like a over-the-shoulder, overhead Diablo kind of style. And we're going to have our character where we can click anywhere on the floor and he'll run to that area. So he'll use his run animation, and then he'll stop and he'll sit and idle. He'll run to the other area, sit and idle. But then there's this box on the screen, and when he runs over to that particular box, pulls out his sword, hacks into a million pieces, and then it breaks all apart. And that box breaks apart by using MoGraph and the Veroni factor. So,
cool. And did you do that through an animated FBX, or did you do that?
That's we're just doing that in real time. So the idea behind it is we're turning on physics right when he starts to hit it.
Okay.
And Unity is using its physics engine to break apart everything because he's got a collider box on it.
Okay.
And I think if I could even show you a quick screen share if you guys want of what it would kind of look like.
You can send it to us.
Oh boy!
It's not gonna. Oh yeah, quit out of that because our cameras are all gone.
Oh no! All right,
that's all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could send that to you. But yes, so it's a pretty powerful tool right there to use in Unity.
All right, hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Did I mess everything up?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, guys.
That's okay. That's all right. And my face is all big. Make it small, Dave. Make it small.
Oh, I had to hang up the call and come back. There we go. All right, hold on.
Yeah.
All right, so
sorry about that, guys.
No, it's all right. So whenever you're creating stuff, you're using Unity, not Unreal, and I'm sure that the question is going to be about the two. There's a question that we do have from Grant, who says render versus. Okay, there's a couple different questions here, but of course nobody's going to be able to say Unity versus Unreal. Which one should I use? Because it's like render engines, right?
Yes.
Where it's like, well, what do you need it for? Well, Gav Grant says render versus game engine. My work colleague asked me why rendering takes so long and why don't I just do my animations in Cinema 4D and export them to a game engine such as Unity or Unreal and have real-time rendering that looks almost, if not as good. I struggled finding the right words as to why I use Cinema 4D render with that. I personally don't believe that. I feel like an Octane render is going to look better than a video game. Now, not to say that there aren't ones that look really good, but all the examples I've seen are using like a million graphics cards to
No, you're absolutely right, Dave. You're absolutely right. It is it's Unity,
coming.
It will be there eventually, but when it comes to what you and I do, like video wise, VFX wise, MoGraph wise, it's just a lot easier and faster to do it in Cinema and hit the render button, and also the quality is just better. And I think it really comes down to the fact that you can get so much more customized in a Cinema 4D pipeline than you can with a Unity. Just because Unity, you have material channels, right? And in it you have, one color channel, two reflection passes, your roughness and your reflectivity. You have your normals, you have your bumps, et cetera, but that's about it. That's you're kind of limited to that. But in Unity, or I mean Cinema 4D, you've got so many different areas that you can use to add different shaders, different adjustments, et cetera, and yeah, as far as quality goes, you'll always look better in Cinema 4D than you will in Unity. Again, Unity is just a game engine. That's what it's supposed to be. Same with Unreal, it's supposed to be just a game engine. So yeah, do all your stuff, and if you're looking to do that kind of stuff, do it all in Cinema 4D. But if you're looking for something interactive, like press a button, have something move in real time, you can build something in Unity or Unreal that will look really good. But that's the goal, is that you want the interactivity. You want that you want to be able to fly your camera anywhere. You want to be able to first person controller it. That's the only time that I would recommend doing that.
But why did you choose Unity over Unreal in your case? Was it just by happenstance? Were there certain things that were appealing to you, or one over the other? Is it just what you fell into? Like, how did that? Because that's always a question. Which one do I start out in if I've never used it before? That's
a great question. Okay, so there's the answer that from 5 years ago, and then there's the answer today. So the answer from 5 years ago was that Unity was the only game engine you can get on the Mac because Unreal wasn't even available.
Right.
So they kind of forced my hand at that point. Also, at the time, Unity was the only one that was going on mobile apps, and Unreal didn't do that.
Right.
Now, that's 5 years ago. That's the answer. Today's answer, dude, you could flip a coin and really pick whichever one you want. I would say this. If you want video games, if you want to build the next Call of Duty, or you want to build the next Uncharted, Unreal has a lot of tools built into it that make it go quicker, and it looks good, real good right out of the box.
Right.
So if your whole goal is video games, and it's those video games that we currently have right now, Unreal is a really good choice. You won't go wrong with that. Now, if your goal is to build video games and other applications, now you want to say, I want to build a video game for PC and mobile, but I'd also like to build a weather app. And I'd also like to build a map that uses real-time GPS. And I'd like to build maybe an augmented reality and VR app. And maybe I want to get into these other areas. Then I would say, you know what, Unity may be the better option, because the scriptable pipeline for Unity is completely C# based, which if you've coded between C++ and C#, it's just, you tend to go a lot faster in C#. And it's easy to use. It's really easy. You could compile a whole bunch of scripts and get it going. You don't have to go through Unreal's system. And also, Unity has a very robust asset store and asset library. So even if you didn't know necessarily how to set up, your ad system or your GPS system or any other of these systems, there's usually someone selling something or giving it away on their store. You can peek through their code and get that down. So yeah, that's how I would discern between the two. If you want, now as far as graphically speaking, you're pretty close to each other. I mean, it's really at the hands of the artist. It's really at the hand of post-production to determine which one's going to look better. But as far as usability goes, though, that would be my only suggestion is which one. It's kind of like the same argument with Cinema 4D and Maya. Most people use Cinema 4D for motion graphics just because MoGraph is everywhere and everyone knows how to use it, kind of thing. So
and that Cinema 4D files come into Unity as well if you want.
It used to. I don't do it. I don't recommend it.
That's what I've heard. Use FBX anyway.
Use FBX anyway. From my experience, use FBX anyway. It's just a standard type of material, and if you set it up to a legacy version when you import your FBX, it usually attaches all the materials to it as well. So you'll be set. But yeah, so I would suggest just use FBX in the end.
And I really like that Cineversity plugin that allows you to export individual nulls as individual FBX objects. So that you can kind of divide up a scene if you have a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah,
and
no,
update certain FBX.
Yeah, I've personally have brought in an entire scene built in Cinema 4D, and one of the ways that I bring it in, so I had all my information, and then I bring in my FBX individual components that I knew were going to fit into those. And it literally just, I'd replace one, turn it into a prefab, and then take everything with the same name and replace those as well. So they almost turn into instances, and then do that for the entire scene. You knock it out pretty quickly. So yeah, you could literally build an entire scene in Cinema 4D and have that work.
Cool.
Nice.
How's it handle displacement? Sorry, I know nothing about Unity.
Well, displacement is treated as a height map, which is kind of it's more of a parallax type of effect. It's not displacement in the sense that it's going to alter your geometry, but what it will do is your geometry will, when it's kind of like, have you guys played Bloodborne on the PlayStation?
No.
Okay, that's a horrible example.
If you say, have you played Halo or have you played Disney Emoji Blitz? I'd be all over that, yes.
It's like an uber strong version of a normal channel, I guess. It really makes those bumps kind of pop out, because it's almost like you could see layers of your image based on the color kind of coming out, but it doesn't actually alter your geometry.
Do people use them a lot?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. It's more for your PBR materials, like grounds and floors and bricks and walls and things like that. It really makes that information jump out right at you. It takes in a lot of that light and shadow information.
So what's the difference between building like a 2D versus a 3D, like a side scroller versus like a first person shooter?
Sure. So the 2D and the 3D. So let's start off with the 2D and how to build it. So
like, you wouldn't rig a 2D character, right? You would just create sprites, I'm assuming?
Exactly. So you would use I use a lot of After Effects in 2D games. And what I generally do is in Cinema 4D, I'll tend to lock down my camera in one direction. And then I'll rig up a 3D character like a knight for dungeon escape. And I'll set up his animations to do certain things, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll render him out as a PNG sequence. And then I'll bring him into After Effects. And that's when I'll do my color correction. That's when I'll add in the flame that goes in his sword as he's swinging it, et cetera, et cetera. And you want to always make sure that these things are a power of 2. So, and then I will render that image sequence out. Now, you don't have to, you want to keep your sprite sheet less, for mobile, less than 2048 by 2048. Or at 2048, 2048 or less. Anything higher than that, it gets bad. But you can use as many sprite sheets as you want for performance. So here's the idea is that, let's say I had a character doing a side swiping swing, and I rendered him out in After Effects, and he has maybe 2 seconds worth of frames, right? So 60 frames. So in your sprite sheet, let's say his sprite on screen is going to be 512 by 512, or 256 by 256, because that would mean that each 2048 sprite sheet would have 16 images on it, right? Okay. So you could picture 4 cross, 4 cross, 4 cross, 4 cross, all set up and animated together. Then you get all your sprite sheets together. So that one would be 16 plus 16 plus another 16 plus another 6. So you had 4 sprite sheets total, right? All doing this one animation. You bring that into Unity, and so you'll have like a 2D character controller, and your 2D character will be running across the screen, and he just moves. Think of him as a cylinder that just moves, and he knows when to turn back the other way and the other way, et cetera, et cetera. You create a sprite that sits as a child of that cylinder that moves. And in the animation tab, you start dropping in all those sprites as an animation sequence. So let's say you press the A button. Now it's just going to play that sprite sequence from start to finish. And then when it hits the end, you program it to say, now go to the idle animation sequence. That's how you build that whole video game in 2D look-wise.
Right. But you're actually building the characters in Cinema and setting up the camera just like on the side or whatever, right?
Yes.
And then that's
parallel
pretty cool.
camera.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of drawing it would, and that's like a hard thing to convince hardcore 2D artists. Is saying, dude, just do it in 3D. No, 3D is, you can't get the face, you can't get the look, you can't get. Yes, you can. Talk to EJ. He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Just render it that way.
Yeah.
And get it up. But I think for 2D animations, 2D sprites, dude, that's the way to go. Like physics wise, think of like an explosion, man. How hard is that to draw an explosion that is like, 30 frames long? How long would it take you to do in After Effects? Like 10 minutes? You're done.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
I saw something this week called parallax occlusion, which I had no idea what that was, but I'll put a link in the show notes. I'll try and play it for the live viewers, but it's the idea that, like, let's say you have bullet holes in an object and you don't want to have geometry for those bullet holes.
Yeah.
This video, it's just like an imager sequence or something, shows it's basically flat with multi-levels. I think that this one, because of the little seat that I saw at the beginning, was done in Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
But it creates the parallax that you would see in a bullet hole if you were rotating around it or moving around, but it's essentially flat, and it's saving you that geometry.
Right.
Because it's got parallax, so you only have one segment or one polygon with a texture on it, as opposed to doing some sort of geometry or something like that. So
that looks a little bit like a height map right there.
That's what I was going to ask you. Because as far as a height map is concerned, I mean, I'm looking at it. It's not like it's two Photoshop layers. There's more to it. So it's like there's a gray gradient that's causing the parallax, but it's causing it flat.
Yeah.
So
No. If you look at if you get a chance and look on YouTube for a height map in Unity, you'll see some great education and tutorials on how they'll create these cobblestone roads. And you have your texture on top of it. You have your normal channel, which gives you like the texture, the kind of like a little bit of a bump of it. And then they'll put the height map on, and all of a sudden those cobblestones just like jump out of the ground. Yeah. Even though the ground is completely flat, when you look at it from an angle, it looks like you can actually step on those cobblestones.
Then how do you deal with like intersecting characters and stuff like that when you've got a height map like that? Or if they're I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question.
Honestly, I never put height maps on my characters because of that real issue. Is that sometimes
if you've got it on the ground, if you've got a height map on the ground and you've got characters who are just walking along a plane, won't they be intersecting the whole time?
No, they'll sit on the plane. The shadows will look good on it. It's because you're not really changing the geometry. You're changing the way that your camera's interpreting the geometry. Exactly.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool.
It's a totally flat object.
So let me ask you this: how much coding is involved? Like
build video game?
Yeah. Could someone? Okay, I have taken 2 classes on C++. I know very little. About C++. I know what a variable is, even though I couldn't remember the phrase. But I know Cinema 4D really well. How much coding would be involved? Like, would I, as a noob, be able to create a video game without
you
knowing
as a
much
noob
coding?
should aim to build a level.
Okay.
Everyone should aim to just build a level. Don't look at a whole video game.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, a video game is only like 8 levels, right?
Yeah, everybody does multiplayer now, so
and that's why I keep getting stuck. So. No, I would say always aim at building a level, and you do need to learn a lot of coding. But what I always say with coding is you need to learn 50 principles perfectly, and then everything else is cake.
Okay.
Everyone gets stuck on the first 50 though. It's the little things like how do you create a handler? So how do you code it so that it reaches out to another game object to affect it?
Okay. Do you have a class on the 50 things that you need to learn to code? Like seriously, that should be your next class.
Yeah, no joke. And also it really depends on what type of game you want to build. Which is also why we're sitting back saying, instead of just building generic tutorials on how to make this game, let's do really specific. You want to learn how to build Fortnite. We will show you how to build Fortnite. Now you could take what you learned in building Fortnite. You'll learn how to make the hit points. You'll learn how to take a hit point off through a raycast if you get hit and how to make that function occur. You'll learn how to turn off, colliders in script. You'll learn how to set up enemy AI using a nav mesh and stuff like that, so they know you're the target, this is where they can walk on, this is where they go. And also Unity has a lot of components in it that make that really easy. For example, just talking about the nav mesh, and let me explain kind of what it is. You have, let's say, a side of a bridge. And on this bridge, you have your rigid body, or not your rigid body, your mesh for your bridge. And you want your character to walk up part of it because it's angled, walk across the arc, and then go down the arc and get to the other side. And you don't want to control it. You want just the character to know that's your target, walk that distance. Back in the old days, you had to do this whole, all right, well, now I need to tell my character what direction to go by subtracting the vector so it knows, gosh, if John was here, he could explain it perfectly, how to retarget your character in that direction and then determine the rigid body and yada, yada, yada. Now Unity basically uses a script and a nav mesh agent. And so your script has gone from about 40 lines of code that's pretty complex to about 3 lines of code. So now all you do is just say, all right, here's my bridge, throw a nav mesh agent on it and bake out my nav mesh. So what it does is it looks at all the angles on your bridge and it says, well, this character can walk on the arc, but he can't walk on the side walls here or here. So that's not going to be allowable. So everywhere that is bakeable, everywhere that is walkable will turn blue. And you see this little blue arch on the part where you can walk. And then in script, you write simple, access your nav mesh agent. And then you say, all right, find my nav mesh target destination. And then you say speed. And then you say nav mesh agent, enter in your target, enter in your destination, and enter in your speed. And then you just drop it on your character, and then it walks. It walks over.
Cake, right?
To
total cake.
Done. Yeah.
And plus, everybody
really
wants
3 lines of code now, so it's gotten a lot more friendlier. And a lot of those systems are in Unity. But how much code will you need? You'll need a bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. But once you learn how to do a health system, you can do a coin, currency system. You can do you can apply that to a lot of different areas. Once you learn enemy AI and states, then you can do this to a variety of other areas. Once you learn how to do a UI for a main menu, you can build an app that is just user UI based, GUI based, just pushing buttons left and right. So
because everybody wants to create their own Fortnite at this point. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I think so.
Everything's a battle royale.
Battlegrounds or whatever it is, and battle
royale.
Battle royale. What's the one now in Rec Room? They've got a royale.
Oh, they
thing.
do?
Yeah, you can Rec Room. You can play it now. Yeah, it's really weird because you're flying through the map in VR, which is a little disorienting. But
Yeah.
Yeah, there's PUBG as well.
That is like
PUBG.
And the money that Epic is making off of that game is astounding.
Oh, off of Fortnite?
Yes.
selling
just
all
hit
of
the-
those little
They
things.
just hit the $2 billion mark
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
on a
2
video
billion.
game.
On a
2
video
billion. Because all the things are like special outfits and special things that are only available for the next 7 days. And
Mhm.
if your kid doesn't buy it, then
Yes.
you don't love
Here's-
him.
Here's something that hit me that like I was thinking about the other day. Video games, at least video game developers, it's a completely different world than it was, say, 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
10, 20 years ago,
Micropayments.
you were putting
Blech.
together a game, and then you test it out, you ship it, and you wouldn't touch it at all after that
Right.
point.
Yes.
Like there was nothing. If there was errors, there were errors,
Right.
But it's like nowadays, there's not only updates, which suck, day one updates,
Mhm.
but also the developers stay on
Yeah.
because there's now more ways for them to make money,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
and that's crazy to me.
And even Grand Theft Auto, they get rid of all the good glitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just milk it.
Right?
And then they never put out a new Grand Theft Auto.
Could you imagine, like, if there was a Nintendo 64 patch for Mario Kart where you couldn't do any of those speed runs anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, people would be like so upset.
John and I were talking about this, and I think it's a real reality that sequels may disappear one day
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
I could see
just
that.
Because
Yeah.
you look at Far Cry 3 and how gorgeous the graphics were back then, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's going to look better, 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 better." And then, the PUBG looks like a cartoon, and that's what we got today. I don't think it's graphics that sell a game. I think it's you got a great system, you got a great, gameplay, you got a great story, you got, solid entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any reason why a developer can't take, let's say, like the Borderlands 2 engine, which has a particular art style to it, and just put DLC after DLC after DLC after DLC out. You already got your audience.
Mhm.
They can buy the main game now. You can give it away the main game for free, for goodness sakes. And as long as they keep buying the DLC, which is a digital download, it never goes to GameStop, it never gets sold used, they'll keep making money off it forever.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what they did with WoW. I mean, my goodness,
Yeah.
that game's been running forever and it's still doing good.
Yeah, there you go.
So what about if I wanted to build? Here's what I want to do to start out, because I've
Okay,
got
talk to me.
Unity. I've started taking a Udemy course on it,
Mhm.
and I'm learning a little bit. It's one of those things where I've done a course and I've done a tutorial
Yeah.
a whole bunch of times, and so it's that repetition that is kind of getting me to remember it the next time I try and learn it, because
Yeah.
I just stop for too long. But one of the things that I want to do is be able to build a world in Cinema 4D. And I want to bring that into Unity as a VR world
Mhm.
and just be able to walk around it and
Yes.
pick up certain objects.
Yes.
That's it. How
Yes.
much code? Because there's going to be a lot of pre-made
yes.
library things, I forget what they're called, that I could bring in and make a lot of that happen without code, right?
Yes, you can. I honestly think you could probably knock that out within a day.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the world already set up, you
Right.
export your world out into Unity as an FBX.
Right.
Mhm.
Get that all in, get your materials all laid in, et cetera, et cetera. Then
Mhm.
you need your character. There is a first-person controller system already in
Right.
Unity. So
Right.
you would literally just drop in your first-person controller system as a standard asset.
Mm-hmm.
That would you got to make sure that you set up your rigid body for the floor. So you got to put some sort of
Mhm.
like floor collider on it. That
Right.
would be a mesh collider.
Yeah.
And then once you get that down, your character can actually stand on your landscape and walk around wherever he
Mhm.
wants. So
Mhm.
now
Which
the
you
last
wouldn't
thing-
actually see the character.
No,
It's
you
just,
wouldn't.
you
Yeah.
just have an invisible character because you're
Yeah.
VR.
Yep. And so
Mhm.
you're walking around this thing, you're doing whatever you want.
Mhm.
Now it comes to the point of picking up something. So you'd have your object. Let's say we just have a box. Now we just need a true false system in there, right? And a trigger. So you would have your box, and your box would have a collider that would be turned into a trigger.
Mhm.
And So we know what the name is of that box. Well, let's call it treasure, right? So
Mhm.
you need a simple script that says, all right, we need a public game object, and it's going to be treasure. And then what we want to do is we actually want to get the trigger component. So we would go to we'd set the trigger larger than the box so that when we, as a player, walk into that trigger or get close to it,
Mhm.
we can pick it up. Now, do you want it to pick up automatically, or do you want a UI interface to pop up that says, hey,
Gotcha.
No, I want to pick it up with my hand because I'm using VR.
okay.
Because is there a pre-made VR package with the controllers and everything for Rift, let's say, to
I'm
push you
sure
into
there
that first
is.
person?
I'm really like almost 100% sure there is.
Mhm.
And then that would just be you'd still have the same concept.
Mhm.
Would be a trigger, but then if you're going to use your Oculus or your
hand,
Vive
yeah.
to grab something, as soon as your Vive is in that place, it would check a true false to see can grab, and then you'd click on the button because now it's a true. If that's a true, then if you're literally picking up and dropping it, then now you're just doing a parenting script.
Right.
And that's one line of code that says, all right, parent to this game object. And then when you let go of it, then unparent,
Right.
and then it drops it.
So when you get close and your hand is within grabbing distance of that object, it's turning on the physics.
I was
it
just
already
thinking we're
has-
basically, taking a bunch of your knowledge so that we can make our own games. That's the whole reason we had you on the show,
Right.
so that
Dude,
we could just
you know,
figure out how
our
to
evil
make our
ploy.
own
Sit
game.
down
Yeah.
and knock a whole
Yeah.
thing out overnight. What you're talking about is really simple. So I mean,
Right.
you could sit down and knock it out.
So it's on, but once you pick it up, do the physics turn off in order to save any sort of resources, or does it really not matter that much to do
You
something
can,
like that?
Yeah, I would test it, but I think you could probably just you don't even have to turn off your rigid body because it's parented at that point, so it won't really matter. But if the physics did activate, then in your script it would be like the line above it would say, in this game object, what is it? A rigid body dot set in either set active or it's enabled is set to false. And then for when it goes false, and then you do the rigid body dot set active or enabled equals true, and then the physics will come back on. And that's all it would be.
Someday I'll get around to doing something like that.
Yeah,
Someday.
I mean, at Seagraph, let us know, and we can sit down and go through it real quick with you. I mean, that's some pretty straightforward code to make something happen. And then at that point, there's another question about, do you want to be able to pick it up and toss it, which would be a physics kind of thing right there. Now you're determining speed, and that gets a little more sophisticated. But from what you're talking about, just walking up to something, picking it up, and dropping it. Really,
that would make a
those three
great
lines.
Brograph live. Like sit down and like show me how to do
dude.
that.
Yeah, we can
Oh
do
man, I would love to be able to do something like that. my ultimate goal, which I've said before, I think on the show, is that I want to recreate the layout of my childhood home,
right.
just as the concept, and be able to go into it in VR, just because I think it would be fun and nostalgic.
Man, it'd be so cool if you actually had the photos, because then you can just paint your walls.
I do. I've got
Body-
tons of photos.
body
I
paint.
probably have a photo of everything in that house. I could recreate it
Yeah.
for sure.
UV unwrap that wall, then just line your camera up to where the angle is, hit paste, and then just fill in the angles, and then go to the other wall and hit that in. Pow, 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 you're done.
That'd be sweet.
And
That'd be real sweet.
Unity also has a really good. And I should have mentioned this before. So, some of the things that Unity's cooking up right now, which I'm so excited about. They're building the Octane engine for Unity. Now, currently, it is kind of a pre-rendered kind of thing.
Right.
Now, Unity also does a light mapping system. So the idea behind light mapping is it's kind of like GI, but it bakes everything into your scene in like a separate pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the courses, course 2, was all about light mapping, how to create basically global illumination in your scene and bake it in, and then do light probes and all this other stuff that do like dynamic lighting. So as someone's flashing a light onto a wall, it's not just, a light hitting it. It's like hitting it and then bouncing everywhere else in the vicinity.
Right.
It's fantastic. But it's always been CPU based, and it's slow. It is dog slow. It's horrible. Now, I think in Unity 28.3, possibly, holding my fingers crossed, the light mapping engine is going GPU based. And the speeds that they showed were ridiculous. It basically went from like an hour render to like half a minute. It was fantastic.
Wow.
Like, just it's stunning. So you're going to get that rendered Cinema 4D environmental, light bouncing, baking onto walls look in Unity now, running at game time. And it's just fantastic. It's so beautiful, dude. Like, it's so exciting. And have you guys ever heard of the light map baking and what a light probe is and how it works?
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about how it works.
It's really cool. I'll just entertain you for a second on this.
Okay.
So, of course, game engine run in real time. So, if it takes the game engine a minute to render one of your frames because it's got so much stuff, it takes a minute or it crashes. And that's why you get low frame rates. So you want to keep your frame rates high. So one of the things it doesn't do very well is computate real-time GI. That's a heavy and intensive process. But what it can do is it can bake GI into your geometry. So let's say we build a whole bunch of stuff in Cinema 4D and we drop it in, and it's properly UV mapped, it's properly materialed and textured and everything, and we got a light bulb, a couple lights in the scene, et cetera, et cetera. We hit the light mapping, and it stops for a second and calculates all the GI in our scene and makes it beautiful. And it uses like GI terms like samples and things like that. So you would be totally comfortable in this world because you would understand it. Then it bakes out the entire scene. But that's not a dynamic lighting solution, because let's say you were to take that light and drag it through a scene, it would say, whoa, we can't do that. That's impossible because we've already baked this information out. So if you were to like move a light source, your light would still be baked into the scene, but you just move the light source over here, or it'd have to recalculate. So what they did was they created this thing called a light probe. And a light probe is kind of like a grid. You can create as many lights probes as you want and set them all throughout a scene area. And let's say you bring a source with emission into that area. It's going to look at the closest probe to that light source, and it's going to start splashing light out. The more probes you have, the more accurate it is. So then you can actually take a real-time light and drag it through a scene, and because it's looking at the probe and the data points all between, it's adjusting real-time lighting based on it. You ignore the actual real-time light, so you ignore everything prior to that light moving through your scene. And now you only have one moving light, and that is significantly faster for your GPU. That's significantly faster for your games. That's how you can create like really nice looking effects, like like a God of War style or something, where you got this lamp that has a swinging fire inside of it, and someone hits it and it falls and it crashes, and then that entire floor is lit up. That's a light in that lamp that is emitting it on a baked surface using probes and stuff like that. So it's really
I understood some of those words.
What are you talking about? You got it. You guys know.
So let's do some links real quick, and then we've got a couple other things in here, and as well as Brograph recommends, which is something that we do with our guests. And I'm going to give you a heads up on one of these because this will be later in the show. But one of the things we ask, and I know everybody needs time for it, and so I'm giving you some time now while we're going, is your favorite life hack. So just think about that. We're going to come back to that in a little bit.
Like Google life hack. All right, this one.
If you don't have one, it's okay. But I mean, think about it. Maybe you'll come up with something. We are going to do some links real quick, though. So we'll just get through these real fast. These are just some random things that are going to be in the show notes. Happened to come across this How Are Characters Animated at Pixar thing. It's an old Toy Story behind the scenes video, and you just see like the technology they were using back then, and it's pretty ridiculous. And also
there's a documentary on Pixar and like how they started and stuff like that. Like so good. I recommend
Netflix,
any 3D animator watching it. Is it on Netflix?
I think that's where I first saw it.
Maybe it's called like Finding Pixar or something
Pixar
like that.
Story or something.
Yeah.
And it looks like the Toy Story logo, I think. Pixar Story, I think.
Yeah.
But also, there's another link for this. There's a Kickstarter going around for this holographic display where you can put 3D stuff in this kind of box-looking thing. Yeah. It's a holographic display. I'll post a link to that. Also wanted to mention you should check out the MDC Meetup number 3 that I believe is happening sometime next year. The event was posted on Facebook, and I've seen a lot of people clicking on interested in going, and I think it's in London. And so I think Liam, Mitch Myers, some other people that we know have clicked that they're interested in going to that. So maybe it's something to think about. We could all go to London next year at some point and go to this thing. Sounds fun.
Let's do it.
Also, the 3rd and the 7th we've talked about a lot. The animation from, I don't know how long ago that was, 6-7 years ago, that was so awesome that everybody loved.
Yep.
And the models, or some of the models, the exterior library from the 3rd and the 7th is posted on CG Trader now, so I'll post a link to that. So I want to formally introduce you to a segment on the show that we do called Beeple's People. Now, Beeple, do you know Beeple?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We started doing this on the show where we analyze the works of Mr. Beeple. And we talk about maybe style and maybe what he did, but we also kind of have fun with it, and we talk about the story behind it. We talk about this whole story. We try and tie all of these crazy Beeple renders together into this universe. So we usually go over 3 of them each week. So everybody open your Beeple, a viewer of choice, which for me is Twitter. I just go to Twitter and I look up Beeple. And on your Beeple viewer of choice, you're going to first load up July 25th, Year of Our Lord 2018. And we're gonna start there. And I'll bring this up for the live peeps so we can take a look here.
July 25th.
July 25th, Year of Our Lord 2018.
And of course, it's not on his website.
That's why you got to use Twitter, yo.
Yeah.
It's always on Twitter. It's not on the website, though, huh?
Yeah, it's weird.
All right.
July 25th. Ooh, that's fun.
Now, there's an Okay, I would like to say I think there's an Easter egg in here, but I don't know if it's an actual Easter egg or just a coincidence. But I see a small homage to Raid Zero in this. But
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the little no sign. Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but yeah, this one is Mushroom Generator. And I thought this was an interesting one to bring up because, well, first of all, the buildings kind of look like mushrooms, but then there's actual mushrooms around it.
Right.
And
notice that there's a fall off around it, you know? Like they're bigger the closer they are, you know?
Yeah.
So like it's probably creating the mushrooms as it goes out, you know?
Yeah, around these little devices. But why is the question? Because you've got dirt, but you also have these metal panels. So it's like maybe there's something underground there. I don't know how the mushrooms are growing on metal panels, but my question is, these mushrooms, what are they needed for? Are they producing some sort of spores for medicine? What's the story?
Yeah, do mushrooms produce oxygen like plants do?
That is a good question. I do not know if fungi
Let's Google it really quick.
emit
mushroom
oxygen after consuming Carbon dioxide. I do not know.
Do
Because we
mushroom
got to
fresh
get
mush-
real scientific with it, you know.
Oh, okay. So according to Penn State,
Okay.
fresh mushrooms respire. They take up oxygen and produce carbon dioxide. Like we do.
Weird. It's like us. So
Maybe there's an excess of oxygen in this environment, so they need to clear it out and make it more stable for people, so that they can so that it's not, because oxygen, right, is flammable. So perhaps there's too much oxygen in this atmosphere, so they've got to clear out some of it. I mean, this is all about, you know, the terraforming
of planets.
the terraforming of the different planets, right?
So there's too much oxygen on this.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. And what? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. You know, I'm kind of liking that theory. You got some capacitors up there on the top or something, and
you got your
these
standard
things are,
wires and stuff.
Yeah. Oh no. What do you think, Al?
Those are some pretty serious pipes going into that system. That looks almost like something you'd use for water.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
And with the whole metal thing going on there must be some things underground that are connected to these. There's got to be a system under there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously big mushrooms, too. Those are... Now, this guy is kind of standing on a rock face on the outside here, so I can't tell if this is like on the edge of a cliff or not. So it's hard to say his size in comparison to the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it looks like those things are incredibly big in comparison.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like the one that looks like a satellite dish in the back right side, the far right side.
Right.
Oh, it's inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder what's going on with that. Wonder if that was like an accident or not.
And why is one half eaten?
Right?
Somebody got hungry.
It's one of the giant animals.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
What's next?
Well, that's pretty good. I like the theory there. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's all
I guess.
about terraforming.
July 28th. This one is called Occupied.
Okay. That's pretty.
July 28th.
You've got your general standing there,
Yeah.
or something. The guy in the white coat, the almost Nazi-ish looking guy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Occupied though. So I always like to kind of pull the title into it if possible. And you've got the helicopters. So the occupied part of it makes me think maybe there's something going on with the military or whatnot. And what is this thing? And it's held down with cables.
Yeah.
So I
it's
guess
either
floats.
floating or it's very light. I doubt it's very light because it looks like it's made of metal.
Mhm.
I don't know.
There's a lot of helium.
It could be a bomb.
Is it magnetic, maybe? That's why you have the chrome spheres?
Yeah, the
maybe.
spheres are what I'm trying to figure out in it. If it's like I don't know.
See, they kind of look like those could be like telescope type things, you know? Like almost like they're looking out into different areas around, looking for bad guys. There's that's what it is.
Pedro says it's a massive CCTV.
Mm.
Like it's a bunch of cameras.
Yeah.
So then you've got the the helicopters out there hunting down the people who come into their area because they've occupied the area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the planet, for that matter.
Or the planet. Yeah.
Mhm.
Perhaps there's multiple ones of these all the way around, and they work like satellite dishes. You know.
Or like a GPS type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they all kind of I like that.
Yeah.
Any other theories?
Could
Nope.
it
I think
be-
we nailed it.
like exploratory almost, where let's
Probe.
say you were to land somewhere in the location. Now you can see in all directions and see everything and know what's safe and what isn't. So it's meant to just be dropped in to be like an initial viewer.
360-degree camera for the world.
Yeah.
It's just so high resolution that it has to be that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 42 billion K.
Right.
Yeah. It can see around the horizon. I mean, the Earth's flat anyway, right? So.
Right. All right, what you got?
All right, next one. Last one we're going to do. This is called Neon Alloy. This is July 29th.
This one's pretty.
This was yesterday.
I like it. I love the red.
Yeah, and this, the word alloy, I'm thinking that they're smelting something down there.
Right, of course.
Which is why it's that color, alloy.
Right. I wonder if they're like, if this one they're actually taking, like, if they're, instead of terraforming this one, they're stripping it of its resources. Yeah. You know.
So they've cut down into the core of this planet.
Yeah.
To get the hot liquid magma.
Right.
In the smelting. I'm using a lot of Austin Powers.
Right, I gotcha. I'm right there with you, dude.
It could be gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like gold.
I don't know. It's called Neon Alloy. What are all the alloys?
There are cell phone towers in here. There's 2 cell phone towers. So that's pretty interesting, actually. Because we haven't seen any cell phone towers in the other ones. So, I mean, this could be Earth for all we know.
Oh, okay. So an alloy is a metal made by combining 2 or more metallic elements.
It's funny because people's probably listening like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It's called
so like nickel or bronze or zinc.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're combining those things. So maybe this path is actually a canal that joins the liquid version of both of those together in the planet.
Well, here's what's weird. So neon is a gas, right? So you would need to.
Sorry, I got to read Pedro's comment.
All right,
there's a cluster of Founders Edition 1080 Ti's at the bottom of the trench. Hence the temperature. It's a good one. Where's the bell? Where's your bell? There you go.
There.
I'm glad you found that. Okay, good.
That's funny. No, I was gonna say, because I don't know. Neon is probably reference to the color versus like the actual element of neon. But I was going to say, maybe maybe they are creating some sort of like combining 2 gaseous elements together to form one gaseous alloy.
I like the thought that
you need
there's
the core
melted versions of both and they're combining them down in the trench.
Yeah.
And just letting the heat of the earth combine the alloys because that's gonna mix them the best.
Yeah, totally. I like the. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the 1080 Ti's. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's good.
The cell towers though really get me. It's like, why are there 2 cell towers so close to each other? First of all, you think maybe it's because they have like Sprint and AT&T?
You got military hangars too.
Yeah.
But look, you got some more of these boxes. You know. The transport boxes, like the Amazon containers. And the shipping container. Yeah.
The crane. Not a very big crane. Yeah. You got the dump truck too. Are they dumping stuff into there?
Maybe.
That's a possibility. But if you look on the outside, if you look behind that cell tower back there, it's very rocky, almost like it's the moon or something.
Yeah. Oh, that
could be a metal planet or a metal asteroid.
It could be ice, and so maybe this is like. Creating heat for the rest of the planet.
Oh, the geothermal energy. Of course, the whole alloy thing has to fall into play.
Right. So it's got to be some sort of metals, dealing with metals.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, then.
All right. That was fun.
All right. So, I want to go to email social real quick. Oh, speaking of Pedro. Pedro has a question here, topic idea. when you start working on a project, do you tend to adapt your ideas to what you can do at a technical level? Or do you not restrain your imagination, try to push your technical boundaries during production? On a similar note, do you prefer to learn a lot of new things technically and then apply them if relevant to your project, or you prefer to go with whatever the idea is and then watch a ton of tutorials on how to produce it?
No, that's a good question. Like, because some people could be like really scared of, like trying something new, and they'll probably try and rein back the client because it's like, well, I don't know if and
or you could be David Ariev and just,
or you could be David Ariev and be like, screw it, let's melt some people. I don't know how to do it, but let's figure it out.
Right.
I know. Here's the thing: if I have absolutely no clue how to do it, I'll probably try and rein them in. But if I remember a tutorial, or if I know someone who knows how to do it,
or if you have time for a little R&D first.
Or if I've got time for a little R&D, like if it's something that's like, okay, I know I can pull that off in X particles, I just don't know how, I'd probably go for it.
Yeah, when your art director comes to you with something you've never done before.
I hate you. No, but I would say, like, yeah, if it's something that, like, if I wouldn't even know where to begin on what plugin, like if I know what plugin to use, yeah, I'll let my imagination go wild.
If it's like, yeah, I know X particles and I know I'm going to need to use X particles, so I'm sure I can get there.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I've got to learn all of Houdini in order to do this, then it's like,
right.
Yeah. I'll hire Houdini Mark. I don't know.
Right.
Something like that. What would you do, Al? Would you, and apply it to video games if you want?
Yeah, seriously.
I was just thinking about that, and boy, that's a... Yeah, honestly, I'm more inclined to reel the client back. Just because I like experimenting on my own time. I don't like experimenting on a client's dollar.
Yeah.
And it's just, of course you always need to have that network of people who you can rely on, you can reach out to. When it comes to coding, I always ask John everything. I don't even bother trying to answer the question often. Hey, help me out. If it's something I can understand, though, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. But I never try to commit ourselves to something that we know, man, we'll never be able to pull it off. Because I mean, how often do we underestimate the amount of time something will actually take? And to put together, and your last piece that you built is really the last thing people remember, and then they may or may not ever use you again if you do something completely awful.
Yeah.
So as far as a freelancer goes, in the freelance world, if you want to protect your brand, if you want to protect who you are, I always recommend go on the safer side, try to reel them back a little bit, or at least think of a way you could do it that isn't completely insane and you've never touched before.
Right.
Like Houdini answer. Because, I mean, yeah, if someone said, hey, I want you to blow up a building and something like Houdini, I flat out say no. I can't do it. I don't know Houdini. Someone else can. I will reference you to them, but it's just not my thing.
Right.
And on the other reason why I pull back is because I don't want that client to have a distaste in their mouth for me or the people that I would recommend at that point as well.
Right.
So I don't know. I generally tend to say, you know what, if it's not in my realm where I can't give it to you, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll turn down the money before I take anything that I can't do.
What if someone gave you 3 times the amount of money?
Man, right. I don't know. If they gave me 3 times the amount of money and time, that's another thing.
Right.
But if they're looking, usually if they're like, let's get it done, and I can't deliver, man, I'd feel horrible at that point.
Yeah.
I'm reading Pedro's other comment here about bringing Raul Marx on the podcast, and yes, it would be totally okay to throw that out there if you have a contact. We would love that. If somebody came to us and wanted something super extreme, I mean, I try and do little experiments and side projects on my own just to learn stuff so I could say, okay, well, I know enough to at least be able to do a certain thing. I'll need a little time, but
if I were to do something like that, I would price it as if I'm going to have to hire some people. Like if they're like, we want you to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
find
then
some
I'm
people
gonna
that can do it.
I'll find some people who can do it, and then I'll just charge you accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mark Cuban, always hire people that are smarter than you. His philosophy. So cool. All right, so let's go to Brograph recommends because it's fun.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to ask you these questions. I hope you've been thinking about that life hack.
Oh, boy.
I'll give you an example.
I have the best life hack. I have the best life hack.
Have you said it before?
Yeah, last week, remember?
Oh, which one? I don't remember which one.
Al, do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay,
2.
and do you take their, like, how tall they are? They're growing up?
Yes.
Right? Well, what happens if you move? You can't bring that with you, right?
Right.
So you get a tape measure, and you use the tape measure the whole time. So you automatically know how big they are, and you can take that tape measure with you.
This is why they have height charts for your kids. You just put
in the height charts.
I mean, it's like, that seems a bit easier to me, but
right.
So
anyway,
I think Mitch Meyer's life hack was turn your toaster on its side to make some bomb ass grilled cheese.
Yeah. I was making grilled cheese yesterday. And I was, as I was making it, I go, bomb ass grilled cheese to myself.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we'll start with the other questions first.
The easy ones.
The easy ones. Number 1, we want to know what your favorite movie is.
Right now, I think it would be... Oh, God. What's that Christopher Nolan movie? Oh, my God, it's escaping me with Matthew McConaughey in space.
Interstellar.
Interstellar, yes.
It is a great movie.
I saw that movie for the first time maybe like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And like was so impressed.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I know some people
when they go
don't
on
like
the water
how it
planet
ends,
and then they go back.
Oh, man.
Oh, that hit me hard.
What hit me hard was when he has to leave his daughter and she doesn't want to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, I cry every time because I have a daughter. So...
it's just, I love the movie because there's like 4 individual movies tied together. Like you can literally put chapter marks into every section of it, and it all makes sense at the end. And I don't know, then the music, the score is so
I know.
intense. It just captures you. It's fantastic.
Well, that scene with his daughter has this music, and that's what makes it just that much more emotional. It's like, holy crap. Every time. What about music? What's your favorite music?
Angels and Airwaves.
What kind of music is that?
Wasn't even a hesitation. That's nice.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
that's
What
like
kind of
my
music
favorite
is that?
It's early 2010 rock kind of stuff with a lot of synths.
Oh, it's Tom DeLonge.
Yeah. It's like my favorite
Do
band.
you listen to something different when you work as opposed to every day, or is it kind of the same? Or do you have work music
honestly,
that gets
I don't
going?
listen to music when I work. I do Twitch a lot. I put on a stream.
Yeah.
And I think it's a psychological thing because, when you work at home, there's no one to talk to.
Yeah.
And some people always say they get stir crazy. Like, I can't do it because, there's no communication, there's no nothing. But if you put on a Twitch stream, you can hear someone talking all the time. And if you want to comment, you type on in, and it's like you're not alone in the room for 8 hours, 10 hours working on something.
Oh, I'm fine with that because I don't like people.
Right. That's why I've got Slack.
Yeah, there you go. Slack, Skype, Twitch. Yeah. You ever watch Dead Mouse on Twitch?
I don't.
He plays a lot of video games.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
He plays a lot of PUBG.
It's like all he plays.
Yeah.
Really?
All he plays. I'm surprised I don't see him playing anything else, but he's really getting into the whole Twitch thing right now.
Dude,
They even had some sort of a promotion on Amazon Prime Day with Twitch and Dead Mouse and PUBG or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you guys do the Dr. Disrespect stuff?
No.
No. I was about to say, that looks like something that is made out of Octane right there.
Which one?
What
Are
was
you talking
that?
about the video that just came out?
No, it's his intro to his stream.
Oh, I didn't
Got
see
like all
that.
these neon lights and stuff like that on there.
Maybe
I
that
mean,
was
there's no like crazy flashy movement. It's just it looks very GPU based.
He does a lot of stuff with smear balls, so maybe it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that intro. That must be something new. I usually tune in right when he's going live
if
or
I'm
in the
not
studio.
mistaken, Deadmau5 did the music for that intro.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he just is using it or if he got it made.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so let's move on to favorite TV show. What are you watching right now that's your favorite? It doesn't have to be your favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Or could be your favorite of all time. But everybody says Breaking Bad, so I thought if it's more like a most
and you're
recent
from
favorite.
Albuquerque. You're in
All right.
Albuquerque, so
Yes. There's quite a bit of Breaking Bad around. In fact, it's funny because the lady who owns Walter White's house gets really upset because
yeah.
people will chuck cheese pizzas on top of it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
she's
gosh.
building a fence around it. Like I heard they were building a fence around the house so that
Yeah.
people couldn't come up.
Yeah.
You know that cheese pizza on the roof was an accident, right?
It was?
It was literally like he threw it and it just landed up there by accident, and they were like, "Well, we're done with this take. That's perfect."
Oh, that is awesome. What my favorite TV show? My favorite one that I actually saw recently on stream is Death Note, the actual anime.
Okay.
Have you
Mhm.
seen it yet?
Mhm.
Have you heard about it?
Just
Heard
that
the
you
name.
Put your name down on a death note and then you die or something.
Dude,
I'm
it's-
assuming.
Absolutely riveting. It is so good. And most people, like anime, whatever, it's just like little girls screaming and stuff like that. This one is a great story. It's this guy is a sociopath basically,
Mhm.
and he believes in fixing the world with this book that can determine a person's life or death expectancy and how they die based on their name. So they have to give him his full name. He has to hear their full name and see their voice, see their face and hear their full name. He can write it down,
Mhm.
and then he can determine when and how they die. And he thinks he's fixing the world by doing it this way.
All right.
And there is a investigator, supposedly named L, who's like the greatest investigator ever, who is trying to find this guy whose only clues are the way he kills people. And it's just fantastic to watch the whole spiral of how it goes down.
Interesting.
It's great. It's really well done. It's very slick, and yeah, you're riveted the whole time. Like if you can get past the voice acting and the fact that it's an animation,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic show to watch. Like I
Alright.
watched it once. I was like, man, whew. And then they made an Amazon movie version of it, which was just horrible.
Okay, so just watch the show.
Yeah. I mean, there's some
Alright.
time that you got to put into it, but it's so worth it.
All right.
Do you listen to many podcasts?
Not really. No.
Then what's your favorite Twitch stream? We'll say that.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Disrespect, I think.
Okay.
Is pretty
Okay.
obvious right there. He's absolutely hysterical.
Okay.
And let's see, plugin. Favorite plugin for anything really.
Yeah.
Man, I've gone away from a lot of plugins lately. I've just
Are
kinda
there? But there's basically what you would maybe kind of consider a plugin for Unity, right? Is there an add-on to Unity maybe that you like?
That's a great question. Plugin wise, as far as Unity, man, we kind of keep it as basic as possible, just because a lot of these things when they do the new versions get completely outdated and ripped apart. But there are some that are essential, like Vuforia for augmented reality is fantastic. Like it's literally
Okay.
a plug and play. I did that for my business card as a joke, and basically, you plug in this Vuforia system, and it takes your main camera, hides it, and then now your main camera is your USB or your cell phone, and you aim it, and then it also has this thing called a view mark or a marker, and it could tell what the image is, and if it sees that marker, it generates its XYZ coordinate on top of that. And so I had this business card that I made that I'm like, all right, well, if you look at my business card, now you see the card and it opens up and it goes way down in the ground and my logo pops up, and then you can helicopter start flying around it. I mean, really,
that's cool.
It's such a simple plugin that you just drop in and you can do something pretty sophisticated like that. So,
and it can take any image. So like it could take your business card. It doesn't have to be a QR code looking thing. It could be anything.
The
cool.
only thing that I found is that the computer is interpreting the image. So if you can squint and flip it upside down and kind of see the same thing, that's what the computer is going to see.
Right.
So it may flip your axis. So you want to make sure your business card has an obvious top, obvious bottom, obvious left, obvious right. And if you got that, it's not asymmetrical. Yeah, it's not symmetrical at all. It's very asymmetrical. If you can do that, you got something pretty slick right there.
Okay. Well, that's cool. That might be a fun one to start out with if you're just learning Unity, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take much programming, or
it doesn't take much programming at all, and really you can do a lot of animations, you can do a lot of stuff inside of Unity. You don't have to animate everything in Cinema 4D anymore. You could just do animation takes and then have that kind of play through and show up what you want, and that's as complicated or as simple as you'd like.
How about headphones? Because you're not even wearing headphones right now, amazingly. But
I like the Sony brand headphones. My PlayStation 4 ones are fantastic. I use those all the time. But no, I wish I had more cool gadgets to show off. But one of the things we have to do is we got to make sure that everything we build is as basic as possible, because you want to hit the mass market. So like when we build something, we build it on these Samsung S5s and these iPhone 4s, just to make sure that they're compatible. So I got like a ton of old junk basically.
That's funny. iPhone 4s, really?
Nobody uses anymore. But
all right. How about website or Chrome extension? Either or. Is there like a website
or Chrome extension? Yeah.
Like something that maybe you use on a regular basis. You're always on this site. You're always using this extension, something like that.
Dude, yours has got to be Discord, right?
I use Discord a lot, yes.
Yeah.
I'm always on the Discord channel, checking things out and communicating with people and trying to figure out what it is they want, what they like, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I'd say that's probably the most common one I use.
All right. Okay. Here's the big one.
This is the big one, the life hack.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, gosh, this is such a hard one. I didn't even think of one.
Is there anything you do on a regular basis that is just you have a great little shortcut for? If it's work, if it's life, if it's
as far as like just life in general, when it comes to getting stuff done, getting work, getting paid, the worst thing you could ever do is do it when it's due. As soon as the work comes in, just knock it out. Then
the opposite of Noseman.
Yeah.
I do not wait at all. As soon as a job comes in, I start grinding on it immediately, and I do it so I could spend as much time as I can with my kids and my family. I want to be able to have my nights off to put them to bed.
Yeah.
The longer I wait, the more I hit those crunch times, and I feel like a crappy parent, honestly, or a crappy husband, doing that. So that's like my number one thing is just don't wait. Just get it started.
All right.
Cool.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, I guess. Dude, thanks so much for being on the show. So where can people find you?
Steal you for a couple hours.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do something at SeaGraph, man. We'll invade your hotel room. We'll help you build a VR game, and
there you go.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be fun?
What day do you get in?
I get in on the 12th. John and I get in around the same time on the 12th.
Is that Monday?
I think
That
so.
would
No, that's
be-
Sunday.
I think it's
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Okay.
Sunday? Okay.
Cool.
All
We
right.
get there on the 10th. So
Okay.
we'll be
Yeah,
there
so
from
we'll
the
be
10th
there.
to the 17th.
Okay.
So, by the way, we didn't talk too much about the lineup, but I love when we get the lineup for one of these events because there's usually a bunch of people we know,
Mhm.
which is great. It's like, oh, I can't wait to see those people. But then there's a bunch of people we don't know,
We don't know.
and we
yeah.
haven't met, and you look at these people and you say, every single one of these people is going to be our friend in the next 2
Yeah.
weeks. Meet all your new friends because
Meet
that's
all your
exactly
new
what
friends.
happens.
Mhm.
Everybody becomes friends. So there's so many good ones, so many old friends. Of course, Grayscale Gorilla guys. The big thing is that Tim Clapham from
Hello, Lux.
Hello Lux is going to be there. Robin is going to be great to like hang out with Robin more. We didn't really get to hang out too much before. Brett Morris, Aaron Sorensen, who we met a few NABs ago. David Brodeur. That's going to be
Connie
awesome.
Solomon, who David talks about all the time.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be great. And then there's these D-bags here at the bottom. Dave Koss and Matt Milstead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we can't wait to see everybody. If you're going to be there, come hang out. Come chat. Let's have a good time. Let's all have some fun. And
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's not going to be long. What's today's date? 30th?
30th, yeah.
Yes.
We got like 11 days till we
11
leave.
days.
Oh, so much to do.
Yes.
It starts in 14 days, 21 hours. That's when we hit go on the live stream. So,
Yep.
man, yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. You can also subscribe to our newsletter and subscribe to our podcast on your podcatcher of choice. It helps get our ratings up. You can say you've been there, done that, got the T-shirt with the No Brograph, No Mograph tee, the Gate and D Simone limited edition shirt, the Paul Babb, Feel the Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. And then the Render Things shirt and hoodie, which are really popular. We will have some Render Things and Brograph shirts that we just ordered that we may be giving out if you're lucky at SIGGRAPH.
Mm-hmm.
Just how many did we order? Like
12.
12, I guess like 12 shirts. We already had some, I think. So
Yeah.
we're going to do that. And if you want one now, if you want to buy one and make sure you have one for sure that you can wear to SIGGRAPH or half res, just check out Brograph.com. You can also see the plugins that we offer there, the podcasts, the other Mography stuff, and also on Amazon. If you want to get the shirts on Amazon, just do a search on there for Brograph.
Yep.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and of course YouTube, Brograph.com, and that's it.
Yep. Let's
That's
do
it.
it. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, hey guys, real quick.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say, thank you so much for having me on here. And
Yeah.
I remember 3 years ago, jumping on the internet, and I remember watching these tutorials by these two guys, and I'm like, man, this is going to be good. I like
It was
what I see.
Grayscale Gorilla, huh?
Yeah, that's Grayscale. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, who are these
And then,
jerks?
And then I met you guys for the first time at NAB
Uh-huh.
last year, and you guys were just so kind and so open and just really cool to hang out with. I still
I
got you
appreciate
guys'
that.
shirt, and I definitely when I saw that you guys are going to be at SIGGRAPH, I was really excited because I knew I get to hang out with you guys again and talk with you. So
Oh,
Yeah, we
Thank
didn't
you
get to
for-
talk much at NAB this year. I don't
Yes.
think you were there that long, were you?
I was
you
only
were-
there for a day, and you guys
Yeah.
had so much stuff going on. But I enjoyed hanging out with you guys, having dinner with you guys last year, and really sitting down talking. I enjoyed, crushing Matt at.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
Yep.
that was really a lot of fun. Just destroying him the entire night.
Were you at the pinball party this year?
I was not. I couldn't.
Oh
make
man,
Okay.
we tried to do
Oh.
a tournament this year.
It. Uh-huh.
We tried to do a tournament this year, and Phil
Old Man
Roberts
Pinball
raised
shut
zero.
us down.
Yeah, Old Man Pinball shut us down because we got too rowdy,
Oh no!
and there was a crowd of people around us.
He doesn't
Learn.
like when people have fun at his pinball place.
Right.
So,
But I really am excited that you guys are going to be there too, and thank you again for having me on there. And I really appreciate how nice and open and friendly you guys have been ever since I've met you. And it was fantastic.
Thanks, man.
appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
We can't wait to see you in Vancouver.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So cool. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Until next week, I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
I'm Al.
Have a good one.
Later,
See ya.
bros. All right.
So we are still live, and we'll still
still
be
live.
live for a second. We're gonna do some music and things while I turn off the stream. I'm gonna play the soft jazz like you do.
Oh,
Dun, dun, dun.
I have to pee so bad.
Good
I
stuff.
drank like, how much is this? Like a liter of cola? I had a whole liter of cola.